All right, family. Looks like we're getting ready to go live here. Think we might already. There we go. Okay. We are officially live. All right, family. Well, welcome to our Q&A for Kung Fu, martial arts, fitness, health, and wellness, and all that good stuff. I'm your host, CJ Jamie. I also have Sifu Fu on, which I'm going to pop him in and have him say hello to you guys real quick. Give everyone a shout out, Sifu. Say hello. Sifu, can you hear me?
Yes, hold on. I can hear, not here. Trying to
Okay.
put you on the headset.
All right. All right. Well, while we are doing that and people are trickling in, we'll wait for everyone to get in. Looks like our internet is not super smooth because there's definitely some oddness going on with the clarity. Reason number 500, we need to move away from lovely Zoom. It does not always give the best of quality. So for those watching, I do apologize. Right now we have currently Melanie coming in from Southern Utah. Good to see you on, sis. Hope you're doing well. And anyone else that has popped on, feel free to let us know where you're coming in from. And also let us know how you're doing and if you have any questions for us tonight. Right. We also have Caesar. Caesar says, hi, family. Happy to be here one more time from San Diego, California. Good to have you on, brother. Good to see you. All right. Well, while we're waiting, Seafood, do you have any new news for anyone while we're waiting for everyone to get on?
I have authorized my Etchamento to be in production, so the coding works great. And so this year Etchamento will be out.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah, my daughter was in the hospital like a couple weeks ago. She had an infection in her knee. She's much better now, praise God. It was spreading, it
Oh,
was
thank
hurting her.
God.
So yeah, so that was a thing.
Oh, man.
So
Well, I'm glad she's
now it's
feeling better.
yeah, me too. Trust me, it was scary.
Do you know like what happened or do they know how she
They
got
don't
the
know why she
infection?
got the infection. No, they don't know why. They just said sometimes that can just happen. Kind of like you
That
get a
sucks.
cyst sometimes, it just happens. So it's just she had an infection, don't know why. They they asked if she hit her leg, and they asked her if she bumped her knee, got into an accident, something,
Right.
but she said no, 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 and so it's just what it is. But
Oh,
she's
man.
good. The antibiotics worked, and her swelling went down. It spread, but then they gave her different antibiotics, and it stopped. So I'm grateful.
Whew. Well, I am glad she is doing better and sorry that you had to go through that. I know that had to be a little stressful for you to deal with that and the family and everything, but glad to know she's doing good. All right. Well, so two good news. I mean, it sucked that she was in the hospital, but good news is she's doing good. And you also have your upcoming project that will be
Yep.
rolled out that later on this year. So that is awesome news. Let me see who else is on right now. We got Jack Stevens. He said, I just won first place in the H&F bodybuilding competition. Congratulations, Jack. Very cool. We got Naom 10. Shalom. Shalom to you as well. We also have Mr. Z, I think is what that is. I says hello, Sifu. Just so you know, it is PHU, not FU. Just so you know. So it's spelled here. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you, just so you have that for future reference. But yes, it does sound like fu as in kung fu. Absolutely. Robbie's on. He says, when does 2.0 launch? Does the web address change? When 2.0 launches, does the web address change? Um, I'm gonna have to get back on that. I don't believe so. Like obviously it's still gonna be anasharlin.com, but it might be on a subdomain. I'm not 100% positive how we're going to structure that just yet. But I do have some news about that. It's going to take a little bit longer for them to transfer our site over because we have so many pages, aka lessons. We have a lot. So it's probably going to be early to mid March before we'll be able to have that finished. So for right now, you don't have to worry about anything. You'll still be able to log into the same old place, which is awesome. I do have some other news in regards to the virtual space that I'll be talking about on the members only webinar after this one. So stay tuned for our members. I'll be sharing a little bit more about that too. Um, Zaid, is that your name? Awesome. Well, welcome, Zaid. Good to have you. And then also, let's see, Jack
Zaid.
says,
It's
um,
Zaid.
I said Zaid.
I thought you said Zaid. It's
No, I said Zaid.
okay.
What?
Bad connection.
Fix those headphones, Sifu. I said, yeah, bro, I think Sifu forgets that I was in a Middle Eastern community for several years in Columbus, but it's okay, all good. And then Jack says, "I'm glad she is better. Thank you so much for that, Jack." And then Naomi says, "Hi, some techniques with back fist, please." Do you have anything specific that you want to know about the back fist, or just how to properly execute a back fist, maybe? Let us know if that works for you or if you have something more specific, Naomi. And then John says, I don't like subs, they're underwater. Well, that's not what a subdomain is, but it won't be underwater, so you will be a-okay. I also would not want to have to be on a submarine, in all honesty. That probably does not, no, no, I'm not really for that. I'm not really big into being in the middle of the big giant ocean in general. So that would definitely eliminate submarine for my travels. But yeah, I feel you on that one, John. All right. Well, while we're waiting for Naomi to clarify, could you just give us some tips on how to make an efficient back fist?
I said how to use and technique.
Oh, okay.
Well, a back fist is basically drawn from the center of your body towards your target, coming from the center to the outside. So anytime that they are within your center to the outside of your shoulder and you want to attack from that same side, that's when a back fist can be used most effectively. Okay, so obviously if you're on this side of the attack using this hand for a back fist, you'd have to turn your body to do this. It would not be economical. It'd just be better to strike them better that way. You have to turn and strike them with the fist. A back fist, like I said, comes from the center towards the shoulder, and they have to be on that side of your body to create a good back fist. Or you, like I said, you can turn your body to make that approach as well. Mainly, back fists are, like I said, from this side to this side, attacking from this realm. Or if you come from this side to this side, you attack from the right side with your right hand doing a back fist. A back fist, a lot of people do back fist where they use a lot of like arm from the shoulder. The most powerful back fist you can make is creating this the base, shooting like you're elbowing them and letting a whip come out like this and snapping that backhand into that. It's going to make it feel like an explosive hit rather than a concussion hit. Back fist, if you do it like this, it can hurt, but it takes a lot more strength. It puts a lot more pressure on your shoulders. If you can learn how to do it where you snap it, where your wrist is relaxed, and at the last second you tense it to make that so it becomes hard. And the back fist is really strongest when you're going from like this into like this type of motion. It's very, very fast. It's like that. It comes really quick. And the good thing is it's not only just powerful because it hits like a knife jabbing in your face. It just has a lot of pressure and a point, but it takes less energy to do, and it also allows you to recover faster. So if you're striking like this, you can follow through with a strike that way. So you can move very fast into another strike this way, it's not like a hook punch coming afterwards. So snapping with the wrist out brings that wrist back, allowing you to turn your body to follow up with a faster hit. So those are the key things that makes the back fist very good. If you can snap from your wrist, so it's really the elbow shoot, like aiming, shooting towards your target. So if I have a target here, I'm aiming my elbow that way, and I snap that wrist from that. So I want to turn my wrist to set the elbow up, and I follow with that drive and the snap out this way. So it's like in the end, you want to snap that with that drive and the elbow behind it. So it's almost like a parallel. If you see, I'm doing like a parallel movement, and then the snap comes out at the last second. That's how you create a very, very powerful hit. It does a lot of damage. Again, it takes less energy. It's much faster to move because you're more relaxed, and you can have a better recovery with a more powerful impact. Hope that helped answer your question.
Awesome. Lots of good tips there. So let's go and see what else we got going on. We got Zaid who wanted to know, Sifufu question, do you find the whipping hand style beneficial?
Everything has benefits based on the situation it's in. For example, a shotgun's good, but it's not good at far distance. A sniper gun's good at far distance, it's not good at close quarter range. They have its purpose, have its size. For example, if a guy's coming at me with a hard follow through with this mask, snapping the wrist wouldn't be as powerful as driving your body's energy behind a fist, because you need more stopping power. A fist has more mass behind it. It has more power to drive into the opponent with a straight line hand versus the back fist. The back fist is like a jab. It's designed to stun and just really kind of make the guy see white for a second, allows you to follow through. Um, um, a back fist can it knock someone out? It can. Again, any type of movement, even a jab can knock somebody out if you hit them in the right place when they're unaware. But in terms of on the average, a back fist doesn't have a stopping power like a straight line or a hook punch does, because you can put more mass behind it. You can put your body motion behind it to generate more power. So everything has its advantages and disadvantages in terms of strike, and you have to learn how to use it accordingly based on the situation. So you can't always say this back fist will work on every situation because there's no such thing. Not all techniques work on everyone. For example, one certain lock, a guy may feel the pain really, really a lot, and some guy based on his just body type. He just doesn't feel that type of lock. It takes a lot more to hurt him versus another guy who hurts him just on a touch, where the other guy you have to take like 110% to make him feel the same thing. So not every technique works on everyone. Not every move will work effectively on somebody. So it all depends, especially using the technique to make damage. You have to, there's three things that make a damage very effective, right? How you hit, where you hit, and the readiness of the opponent. So if the person's ready for it, he can take more pain because he'll tense up. If he's not looking for it, he doesn't see it coming, then it'll hurt him more. Where how you hit, like if you hit grazing off of him, obviously it's not as powerful as focusing into him. Okay. So and then where you hit in the chest versus in the eye socket. Obviously the eye socket would hurt more than his chest. So those are the factors that make a difference of how one can be affected by any type of strike. Certain strikes are better depending on the situation, your angle, the distance you have. Um, the freedom of the your body in terms of movement, stuff like that. Whether he's grabbing you, pinning you to a certain size, pin to the wall. All these are scenarios that will determine what is best. But again, the goal is to move optimal. You know, always getting the base, getting the drive, getting the torque out to the wrist to make the optimal amount of power you can get out of it. Does a back fist work? Does a snapping? Yes, it's beneficial. But is it used for everything? No, no, it's not used for everything. Again, the scenario can be changed just because situation change, distance, multiple people, where they're angling the attack, what they're throwing the attack at you with. So certain things require like using your body torquing to snap your body into it. Certain things just snap the wrist into it. Certain things snap the waist into it. Oh, again, that's your distance, that's your coverage that you have to close in with. All those are the variables. And it's just like when he's like, oh, well, it's so much stuff. How do I know what to? Again, it comes down to your feel. Just like when you're riding a bike, you approach an angle. You don't calculate, go, okay, I'm traveling at 25 miles an hour. The bike weighs this much. I weigh this much. The angle is this. The wind is this. The curve. You just feel it. You just feel how to do it. All those other stuff you don't need to calculate because your body has this built-in ability to sense what's balanced, what's not balanced, what's right, what's not right. And you could tell as you get more and more experience, you could just develop that much, much better. So it just develop your body's natural movement, to do that will help you decide what you should use, what you shouldn't use in a fight. And can it be right, can it be wrong? Well, that's what experience is. Sometimes you might choose the wrong decision and that can cost you the fight. Sometimes you make the right decision, you can win the fight. So that comes down to your experience at the end of the year. I mean, at the end of the day, what you should use, what you don't use. But again, when you use it, make sure it's the most optimal way of performing that execution. That's going to make the difference.
Absolutely. Awesome. Some great tips. Caesar gave us some super chat love. He says, when you're torquing your wrist and hips move also with question mark. And can you please explain why it's important to do so?
Okay, so you can use your wrist without your waist, but whenever you use your waist, you have to use your wrist. That's the general rule. Okay. For example, I can bring my wrist upward. I don't have to turn my waist up for an upward downward movement. But if I'm turning left and right, it works well with the waist. But whenever I turn my waist, I have to use my wrist with it. But I can turn my wrist without my waist. So that's the general rule that you can do. Torquing your waist is optional, but it's beneficial if you use your waist behind your wrist. Um, when you're using your wrist, torquing your waist will enhance that. Depending on the scenario, sometimes you don't need to. For example, a back fist does not need a torque in the waist because you don't need to turn your waist if you're striking straight out in front of them in that way manner. Other times, turning your waist to root yourself down to sink will help enhance the striking. Other times, you don't need to because you're very close already or you've already been rooted. You don't need to re-root yourself. So if you're already down there set to power explode, you don't need to reset it again. You could just reuse it. Um, Other times, like I said, using your waist would be beneficial. If, like you got to turn a certain angle to meet the opponent. He's moving side, I got to turn to meet him. Other times he throws a hook punch, I cut the angle, turn my waist to meet him at a different angle. So they are very beneficial. But like I said, you always have to use your wrist behind your waist. So whenever you turn your waist, you have to use your wrist. It's not optional. Turning your waist without the wrist will make you collapse if you're uh, parrying someone's hands, blocking someone's hands. If you turn the energy off of them, if you turn your waist but you turn your wrist, it'll cause your hands to collapse. So when you turn your waist, you have to use your wrist, but you can turn your wrist without your waist. It becomes optional. The more distance you have between your hand and your body, the more not necessary your waist has to turn. The closer you draw your hands to your body, the more you have to turn your waist. It becomes a higher percentage. So it's like at this distance, it's 100% optional. This is like 50% optional, 50% need to. As you get close, it becomes like 90% mandatory, 10% optional. And what's like that? That's optional part then. That wouldn't be again, it comes down to skill level of whether you can feel the energy, convert it before the pressure builds into your body. So if you're quick to turning, you might be able to turn that fast without turning your waist. But again, you have to be very high level. It's like only 10% of the time again, that's like the 10% top skill people can do that. It becomes somebody who's very skilled at feeling energy, converting energy, and responding and executing that technique quickly. If he can do it quick enough, he doesn't need to turn his waist. Turning your waist at close quarter buys you time. That's what turning the waist does at close quarter. If you're converting someone's energy, it buys you that time that you need. But if your hand's quick enough to turn before you the time runs out for you to turn, then you don't need to. But as you get closer and closer, it gets harder to you have less time to turn because you don't have the distance anymore. So you have to be that much faster. So anytime you turn your waist, you have to turn your wrist. Every time you wrist, your waist is optional. But as you get close to the body, it becomes more mandatory. Again, that comes down to your skill level. But yes, always use your waist behind your wrist if you're using waist first. But when you use your wrist, you don't necessarily have to turn your waist, but you can. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying you can. And then you should. If the move calls for it, I always sink when I punch. If someone's punching, I actually drop my knees a little bit. I turn my waist just a little bit to get that explosive power to come out. It's very small. It doesn't need to be big. I just need to get that energy from the ground to my hands. So you don't need much big movements. You just need proper movements and you don't need to do this exaggerated. When you have to exaggerate the move, that's a lot of energy loss in distance. You want the shortest distance possible so you can make that explode to the next point as quick as possible. The longer it takes you to get there, obviously the slower you are. So you want as quick as possible as you get faster. Something faster that travels faster can get to the point A to point B much better, but also cuts away time and it also allows you to the next movement to the next movement to the next movement better.
Right on. Lots of good information there. Let us know if that helped you, Caesar. And thanks again for that super chat, love. Um, Melanie said, Sifu, when you move to the side quickly, the background program can't keep up and you disappear for a moment. It's kind of a combination of things. It's that, it's the lighting, it's the connection. So sorry about that. Maybe after you do it fast, like if you can maybe just do a couple slow motions.
I think it's the background that's causing that because
No,
it's trying to the AI is
no,
trying to keep me in frame.
no, I know that, but it's because the lighting and the connection. It's a combination of things going on there. So we are sorry about that. We are hoping to have Sifufu come in to my lovely townhouse studio, which is really just my bedroom, FYI. Um, in this upcoming March when we launch for Inner Shaolin 2.0. So eventually we will be filming in here, but I have a lot of organizing that I need to do to make that happen. So soon enough, you won't have the pesky backgrounds, and hopefully the connection will also be better too. And yes, better videos to come. That's what I have.
Okay, so I'll try to do it slow with the back fist. When doing a back fist, if your hands down, okay, to get your elbow to come up, you should torque your wrist. So it's a torque of the wrist like this to send the energy in your elbow. So I'm doing this. So you should never just do this because that's a raise of your shoulder. You literally want to do it like this. Launching the base will launch the arm up, and then you could just snap it out that way. Yeah, I know I have to keep it slow, but so it's like you want to go
If you
boom.
want
See
to,
it,
but you can turn off your background.
and that's causing me to figure out now that
I can't do
I
it
don't
for
have
you, all
time to
right,
do it.
but okay, don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Just yeah,
yeah.
another time.
Yeah, let's do it another time because I don't want to have to figure this out here. I know it's in the settings somewhere and we figured it out before, but look, when you do this, it should be like this. It's very, see how that little twitch I do? I don't know if I can move closer, but see it's the background doing it. But when you're doing a back fist, it should be just this little twitch right there. That little twitch in my wrist, turning my elbow. That's gonna point my elbow towards my target. So it's exaggerated. It's like this. Douche. You can see my elbow moving, right? So you can see elbow move. The elbow move drives the hand. So that base there, it'll help drive the hand out, the elbow to the wrist. So you can see the elbow move this way, like that. So when that moves, it's going to feed the wrist, and then that's where the wrist can snap. So you can snap. One of the ways you can practice, like when I have my students, they'll hold the pad, and your job is stand about fingertip distance. So if the pad's here, you put your fingertip here. You get your body to be that distance from the target, and you want to learn how to snap your back fist before they can move their hand out. So it's really good to teach you how to generate speed and power without telegraphing, because people read you through your telegraph. Okay, they can,
Yep.
or you're very slow. If you're like not telegraph, really slow they can read it. So the biggest thing is people actually can see your punch before you actually execute it. It's just called telegraphing. So the person holding the pad, if he learns to read them, he can tell, oh, I saw you move your body. I saw you shift your weight. I saw this. I train my students all the time with that. I'll be able to move my pad before they can hit it, but I'll tell them what I saw because they're telegraphing it to me. And I'm learning how to read people's punches this way. So the guy holding the pad, it's good for them to read punches. The guy striking or the girl striking, it's good for them to learn how to strike without telegraphing. And so you have the advantage because obviously if they can't see you about to hit, then you have the advantage of striking before they can read it. And so I teach my students how to just back fist before they can read the punches. And the person, like I said, holding the pad, if he misses it, the guy's striking, he misses the pad, that means that he was able to read or the guy was telegraphing and he's slow. But again, that comes down to the person. But that's the way I train my students. They can train their hands like this. I'll hold the pad up, and that's my face. Hit my face. And if I can dodge, that means I'm about dodging, I can come in on it. So it tells me I can read them. So it's a very, very good way of training. That's
Yep.
how I train one of my students to get faster on their strikes without telegraphing. So if a guy's got their hands up, you got your hands up. I can teach you how to strike before they can even blink, before they respond. You'll get the strike in. So it's about striking without telegraphing. So use that twitch of the wrist and let your elbow set and drive the arm out. It comes really, really fast. And like I said, it can come powerful too. It can generate a lot of power. So that's a good way of doing it.
So Zaid just gave us some super chat love. Thank you so much. He wanted to know, can you name the kung fu styles that are fake or not a real thing?
Well, the common kung fu, so general kung fu styles that are legendary that you hear back in the beginning, they're authentic. What's washed down is not the system itself, it's the passing of the system where people are like nowadays you can get a black sash, in 2 years. And it's the teaching that went down and that becomes watered down. Then that person gets a black belt and he teaches a watered down system because he didn't learn it that great. He's teaching and filling in some stuff, and then they're just wasting again, they're just watering it down all the time. Which is why you ask some of these teachers some questions and they can't answer it. They'll be like, and I hear this a lot. Well, your skill level's not high enough to understand this yet, so you got to train some more before you can get the experience to understand that wisdom and everything, which is a bunch of crap. It's
Right.
basically saying, I don't know how to answer, so I'm going to politically answer you and give you this runaround crap. Um, which is why I like to answer. Anybody ask me a question, I'll answer it. I'm not going to give you a run around. Well, you're not wise enough yet. You're not. You got to be at least 60. You got to at least have 20 years of combat in order to understand what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's above your head. So, in time, in about 5 more years, you can come back and ask. It's a bunch of nonsense. I answer everything through the science. A teacher, a lot of arts, like I've seen Wing Chun that are crappy, but Wing Chun has been legendary to be good. Ip Man had a high reputation of being a very good fighter. Bruce Lee brought Wing Chun to the system, into the world. What's his name? I forget his name now. He was the number one Ip Man student, never lost a fight. I can't think of his name now. But he went in a lot of competitions and he never ever lost using Wing Chun. But today you see Wing Chun's like a joke. And why is that? It's because to me, Wing Chun's became more a money making system rather than an art in itself. People teach you to be a black sash within 3 years, and you're just learning real quick. I've seen people teach Chum Kul in 6 months. Like on the average, my students don't even learn Chum Kul until like 2, 3 years later because I
Yeah.
got to get them good at Silam Tao before I jump into Chum Kul. So that's me though. I teach very slow because unless you're very gifted. If you're very gifted, you learn quick, then yeah, I'll teach you quick accordingly. But I've taught a lot of students who were my students who learned like 3, 4 years, went against other Wing Chun schools or students who learned
Hmm.
12, 15 years, and my students beat them. Even though they're 3, 4 years with me, they're 15 years from another student from another school, my students still beat them. It's because their
Yeah.
foundation's wrong. They're just taught to do real well. And CG Jamie can attest to the story with Mike.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
same,
Yeah.
same difference. Um,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. A lot of people just water down the system and it's become just a way to make money. And people believe, somebody who comes across the street doesn't know any better. Even a guy who's somewhat okay using the art could still beat a guy who has no ability to fight. And so he's going to think he's awesome because of that. A guy who's played piano for 1 year can play some music. I'm like, man, you're awesome. You're good because I'm compared to myself who can't play nothing. But you compare it to somebody who's playing 20-year piano. Obviously, that guy's like, dude, I stink. I'm nowhere near what that. You have no idea what good is. You
Unless
know,
they weren't
and
practicing right, because I know some
oh,
people
that's what I'm saying.
that,
Like, no,
yeah,
I'm not
it's like
talking about. I'm talking about.
it's like
I'm
with
talking about a guy
everything.
who came in who knows nothing. He's going to
Yeah.
think even the guy 1 year is great because he knows nothing. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So when these people come in, they're training from a teacher who's all right, maybe not great. He's going to look great because that guy knows nothing. So compared to him,
Right.
he is great, but he has no idea. I get it all the time with my students say, "Oh, don't spar people." And then my students kill. I'm like, man, you're amazing. And they're like, no, you have no idea what amazing is. I think you have to see my teacher. You know what amazing
Right.
is. If you think I'm amazing, you have no idea. And it's like that. So a lot of these schools are basically watered down the system. They teach it really quick. It's all about the money making, and that's what happened with karate. I heard back in the day before it became like a school. Uh, the reason why you got a black belt because you wore your white belt in the beginning, and you wore it throughout the years of your training. It got dirty, eventually got black. That's how what I heard. I know it's not true,
Right.
but they're saying that person would train years and just didn't matter the belt. It was just about him training it better and the belt turned black because it just got dirty eventually. And that was
Right.
the whole idea of taking the black belt. But the idea is you would dedicate years and years in your time to train hard to get good at what you did. Today, you could train 6 months and pay to get a black belt. Like it's become more commercialized for money than it is for the art. And I think a lot of styles have become that because there are people come in, to my school who say, Kung Fu's no good, blah, 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 blah. And then I show them, and like, oh my gosh, I've never seen Kung Fu like this. It's because a lot of the Kung Fu they go to school with, they're terrible. And that's because it's washed down. So I'm not going to say any style is bad. I'm saying the art that was passed down to the teacher, they watered it down to make it bad. But the system in itself,
Right.
if you take it for what it was originally back in the day when people actually studied and worked and became good at it, they all were effective. They were very, very effective. It's just today, combat is not used as necessary. We are more civilized. We didn't have to fight for our shoes to keep it and be mugged. And so we're more civilized today. So the art of combat is not as necessary. Back then, they used it all the time. Like samurais, they walked. They fought for their life
Mhm.
every day. So it's a different time setting today. And so martial arts became not a necessity of survival. It became more an enjoyment. It became more for competition. It became more now some people train art for combat, but I would say most people they come in, they want to, but it's more for like for the competition. They go and join schools, become a black belt, go compete and all that stuff. So, and I'm not saying anything wrong with that. If that's your goal, if that's what you like, that's fine. But yeah, the martial arts has been watered down because of
Mhm.
today's society where it's more competition, more this. And a lot of people learn so quick because you can get a black belt in a year in a karate school. Whereas like when I grew up, it took you at least 10 years before you became a
At
black
least,
belt.
yeah, at least.
But today you're a black belt in 1 year. So it's been watered down for the money than it rather was for the art.
Yeah. Yeah. So are there any kung fu styles that are fake? Not that we know of, but is there a lot of bad kung fu out there? Yes, but that's based on what people are teaching, what they've been taught. And, for some people, they just don't know what they don't know. Like there are bad teachers out there that know that they're scamming people, but then there's ones that have no idea that they're doing anything wrong because what they've been doing has been working for them the whole time and they don't know any different. So
Wong
it can be
Shuang,
watered
yeah, that's right.
down.
Yes, John. I couldn't think of the name. Wong Shuang. Yes.
Seven said, yeah, my thoughts exactly. I think it's definitely how you train any system. That's why we say don't let style define you, let energy refine you. And we work with people from all different styles in martial arts and kung fu because it's irrelevant. What we teach is universal. It can make anything that you do better. It doesn't matter what style you're doing. We don't have to say, we don't go, oh, you can't do that no more. We want to show you guys how to make those things better. And that's why even in our own system, everything has its merit. We have Wing Chun, we have Chin Na, we have Tai Chi, we have qigong, and so on and so forth. So it's not like there's like one system that's like all 100% does every single thing that you may need. So for us, we do our own mixed martial arts. It's not maybe like the traditional MMA, but it's our version of mixed martial arts, which is not a new concept. So it really is about how you train. It's being about train right and having techniques that work regardless of your size, regardless of your age, that will work with you for the rest of your life and meet you where you're at. That's what we do. Let's see. John says the system is not bad. The person doing it is not that good. Well, yeah. Yeah,
The
exactly.
system can be
It
bad if it's
can be
taught
bad
wrong.
though. Yeah, I was like, it
Like
can
if you're
be
using
bad.
strength as a means of, throw your weight behind it,
Yeah.
then that becomes a strength factor.
Yeah, like
So that
we
could be taught wrong.
absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, the system can be bad if it's being taught incorrectly. So,
yes.
and
So
sometimes some systems do have some pretty flawed philosophies too. So you definitely have to, really know what you're doing and that that's why we do what we do here at Enter Shaolin and we share this information with you guys because we really want to see you all win. We don't want to see you we've had people, Seafood Foods had people, Seafood Larry's had people. I've, over the past, 12 years seen, different people walk through our doors that have been training all their lives. Some people, as long as I've been alive, I'm 44, by the way. And, they're like blown away. And like, where were you? Like, where was this all my life? I've been training, these are not slackers either. These are people that are really dedicated to what they've been training and learning. They just weren't learning the right stuff. And that's sad and that's why the system of martial arts is so broken and why a lot of people just make it it's a joke like, oh, you're a black belt, ooh, whatever. People are generally not that impressed if you say that you do kung fu or martial arts because it has been so watered down that it's just like not that serious to most people. So we're here to provide the good stuff, the real stuff, and help you take whatever it is that you love and just make it better. uh John says the dumpling master has the best system there is. I don't even know who that is, but I don't know if you're just making that up. But I
I
do
think
like
he's talking
a
about
good
Kung Fu
dumpling.
Panda.
Oh, oh, I was gonna say I do like a good dumpling. So, and then 7 out 6 says, "How do you feel about attacking the limbs as they come at you? Is that something your school works on?" Yeah, that's what we do.
Yes, we
It's
do
called
it. It's called weapon
weapon
striking.
striking. Yes, right. Yeah. Yeah, we don't
So
we don't believe in blocks. Go ahead, Sipo.
So it's called weapon striking. So a lot of times people like to strike and not engage their body if they use their range as their advantage. So it's like they'll keep you away. So obviously sometimes you can't get to the body because of that. So you strike the limbs that strike you. It's called weapon striking, strike the weapons. So we can break bones, we can tear muscles, we can rip muscles, we can smash muscles, we can lock fingers, we can hit the joints. So we do attack the limbs. The principle we call it's called weapon striking, like I said. So we attack the limbs that attack us if we can't gauge the body. Because obviously, for them not to come in, they have to extend their arm to keep the body away. So if they extend the arm out, that gives us a longer time to be able to strike the limbs, whether it be the legs or the arms. So yes, we do believe in that. We absolutely we focus on that too. If a guy likes, like I said, likes to tag and stay away, um, in the video game, it's called kiting. It's where you hit and run, hit and run. So we can't hit the body because they're constantly staying away from that. So we strike the limbs. They're trying to get you to set up to whether they're going to tag you and close in the distance, or they can hit you, stun you, then come in, or they're waiting for you to commit your body, trying to rush in to get the hit, and they'll just move back and hit and time the hitting. So we don't want to rush into go after the guy. We just want to go into the point. So whether I hit the body, hit the arms, that's fine. I'll strike the limbs. If your hand hurts, now it's going to be you're going to be afraid to extend it because like, dude, I don't want to get that hit again. So you won't extend. Now you're going to come in tighter, which is fine because now you allow me to come closer to you, which gives me the ability to strike you with a close range. So weapon strike is very good. It's something we do teach. It's something we actually um, use prevalent if a guy likes to keep his distance. I tell my students don't rush in because they're waiting for you to rush in. They're timing that so they can hit you as you try to close in the distance that way. So just strike the limbs, be patient. It's like, what happens if he just keeps running away, running? Well, then walk away. You don't need to fight. He's not engaging, so just walk away. Um, you don't need to fight a guy. I'm talking about for the streets. This is for the street. Now, if you say, well, I can't do it in competition, that's a different story. Competition, just wait it out. You have to be patient. Like I said, you have to feel them out, find the distance. If he extends, hit the weapon, close in, bridge in, stuff like that. You have to just figure out how to close in that. So, yes, we love weapon striking. I promote it all the time.
Absolutely. Love, love, love it. Absolutely. And yeah, so someone was thinking that because our saying is don't let style define you, don't let energy or sorry, don't let style define you, let energy refine you, that we don't like the word style. We don't have a problem with the word style. I do have a problem with people being called in what I call style boxes, meaning like they think like what they do is the end all be all, and like they're just so focused and narrow minded in their training that that's all they see, because there's just so much more out there. And like I said, most systems have some kind of weakness, and it's good to know what your strengths and weaknesses are within your systems and your styles, rather, as well. But he was saying this was 7 at 6 that he likes his Kung Fu animals. He likes the monkey. We do teach the 5 animals, but we teach different ones. We do not do the monkey, but I am familiar with that from when my daughter was in Wushu. So
I'm
that
not
is,
against the word style. I'm not
yes.
against it at all. We're
No,
not against it.
not at all.
We just don't limit ourselves to it. We don't
Exactly.
confine ourselves to it. But you could
Exactly.
say style. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
not against anybody who has a certain style. Everybody has to have a manner which you have to train. You have to have a principle which you follow. So styles, is fine.
Hmm.
That's not. I just when we say style, we don't limit ourselves to a style.
Yeah,
We limit ourselves to the principles of energy.
exactly.
So
Which can
that's
be
why we
applied
can
to any
adapt.
style.
That's why we can adapt to any style.
Exactly.
Like we are not against any martial arts at all because they all have value. It's a
Hmm.
question of how you do it, not what style you're doing. Doesn't matter whether you're a boxer, karate guy, judo guy. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if it works and you do the energy right, then it's fine. But
Yeah,
again, it's like Bruce Lee. My style is also a system of without. What do you say? The art of fighting without fighting. It's like he was saying, like, look, I use what works. I'm not about whether it's boxing or karate, but if it works at the end of the day and you were able
exactly.
to defeat your opponent, then it was good. It's not whether you call it karate, you call it boxing, because energy is energy. It's not relative to the culture. It's not to the style, not to the name. It is all about the principle of how energy works, and that's what we are. That's why our system is let energy refine you, not style define you.
Exactly.
Don't
And
let
that,
style
that
define you, let energy refine you. That's the saying.
Right. And that's why we're different than a lot of people that are teaching online because we're not saying like, oh, you love karate, you can't do that no more. You have to just do what we do and that's it. We're like, hey, let's teach you these principles and help you make your, karate better or your Krav Maga or whatever, your judo and so on and so forth. That's what makes us different. Now, there are some words that we don't, or phrases, words and phrases we don't really like around here. That would be self-defense. That's one. And there was another one that I was thinking of that I could not think of right now. but we're not really a fan of thinking of what we do as self-defense. Oh, and being defensive. Don't be defensive, right? And that kind of goes with the self-defense, right? We are a counter offensive system. So those would be some of the dirty words around here, but we are okay with style.
Yeah, we don't say defensive. It puts you in the wrong mindset. That's why.
Exactly, exactly. All right, so let's see what else we got going on
Yeah, it's
here.
not the word, it's the meaning that puts your mindset, you know,
Yeah,
put your mind in the wrong state.
exactly. Exactly. Jack says, I love your Tai Chi in Shaolin. Thank you so much.
Me too.
Um, 796 Mike Monkey Style likes to hit and run too. Well, we only run if we
Uh,
think it's necessary. We generally like to end things, but if you're, in a situation where it makes more sense to run than stick around, then yeah, run.
my favorite technique in monkey is monkey still peaches.
Yes.
I use that for my students all
Yeah,
the time.
I was gonna say we do teach that. That is one thing that we teach from. I don't know if it's actually from the monkey system, but it is a homage to the monkey. Let's see here. John says, I train as much as you can with as much as you can. Take what works for you and don't use what doesn't work for you. Each person has different limitations. Right on. Seven says, no limitation as a limitation. He's a Southern, yes. Why not Northern? Just curious. So, is it your background? So he wanted to know why our particular martial arts styles are more from the Southern style
I have
of
nothing
fighting.
against Northern. I just happened to learn Southern systems. That was just where I was taught. I'm not
Yeah.
against Northern. So if there was a Northern system out there that like Northern Prairie Mantis Fist that was good, I'd learn it. I have nothing against it. I just didn't have the
Right on.
opportunity to. That's all. It has nothing to do with my preference. It's just the opportunity they never had. Um, so um, if there was like Northern system, I just never had a chance to learn it, but I'm not against it. Especially if they're good and they teach the principles right. Again, I'm not about the style, I'm about the energy. So I don't care if it's from the North, if it's from Korea, from Japan. It's irrelevant where it comes from. It's a question of how the energy works. If I have to use 110%, 10% of my strength to make it work, I just need 10% to make it work. So it's not about what you do, it's how you do. Like we talk about, like a lot of people say, you have to be racial, you have to be this angle, this arm has to be this way. Us, it doesn't matter. It's never about position of your arm, it's about the energy behind that. So I don't care where the position of your arm is when you block, whether it's this way, this way, this far, this far, this far, this far, this. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you are moving the energy behind that structural integrity that matters. It doesn't matter the position because you can be laced and you can drop your shoulder, it wouldn't matter. That would be bad energy movement. So for us, it's never about position of the arm. It's about the structure of the arm. It is about how the energy is moving behind that arm that makes the difference.
Absolutely. So hopefully that helps you. So yeah, background is the why. He goes, oh yes, I comprehend. Jack Stevens says counter offense is the way to go. Yes, sir. Absolutely. John says, but Seafood Larry told me I had to sit down and I did not want to, so he made me. That is a true story. And actually, John, um, if Caesar is willing to let me share the video, that is, I could share Caesar getting the couch treatment from Sifu Larry in his visit. Maybe tonight or maybe the next webinar. So we'll see. 706 is laughing about the monkeys. Monkeys do love peaches. Jack Stevens says everything either works for counteroffense or physical fitness preparelessness. Did you mean to say preparelessness or did you mean to say preparedness? I don't know. But 706 says comprehensible. All right, thank you. Acon 1878 says, Hi Sifu. When attacking a person's forearm with a block attack, how do you get the force to affect them rather than you? Something hitting another forearm can hurt you more than the opponent, not if you do it right. And see if you
I
take it
have the
away.
answer for you. No, it's not. So obviously, if you hit wrong, you can hurt yourself. Okay. So you don't want to hit bone on bone unless you're very, very, very conditioned with your bones. So our goal is when we should strike, there's several things. You have to put the manner in which you strike. For example, we are not hitting with a fork, we hit with a snap. Our goal is not to let the energy come to us, we come into them. You know, like Jesus said, if you fall on a stone, it'll break you, but if a stone falls on you, it'll smash you to powder. You know, so it's different. It's like who's hitting who, where's the energy going? So that makes a difference. So when you're striking someone, obviously knowing where to strike makes a difference. I would never strike a person's bone on the bone. I would strike them with a muscle to the tendon on the bone because that'll do more damage. I have a harder substance, which is my bone, versus their muscle, which is tissue. So when I strike, I wouldn't strike them bone to bone, unless I'm, like I said, unless I'm conditioned with my bone is very, very strong. You would strike more along the tissue line, not the bones itself. Okay, that's one. If you do strike the bone, you would never strike on the same density of the bone. You would never strike them where the bone is thick. You would strike them where it's thinner. So if I'm going to strike my bone, I would never strike them thick bone to thick bone, let's say. I would strike them on the inside of the bone with my thick bone because that's less dense. This is more dense. It could take more, more pressure. It can do more damage. But on the inside, it doesn't. So when you can weapon strike that, that's going to do more damage to him because it's not as dense, it's not as strong. So knowing where to hit can make a big difference in where you hit. Okay, that's one. Two, like I said, if you're just hitting with just dropping something, it's force hitting force. You want to make the force smaller because if you're hitting with equidistant in space, energy wants to even out when it hits. So the bigger the surface area, the more it's going to spread out. That's why if you have a sledgehammer, you hit it, you see a dent. But if you turn the sledgehammer into a pickaxe, you can see it pierce because the energy is more forward than it is outward. So you want to turn your wrist to make your bone the smallest point possible when hitting to accelerate that into the point on this weakest point. And that's how you can do damage to your opponent where it's less on you. So if you're feeling it, you're more likely just smashing, throwing your arm on the arm, which you shouldn't do. So it's kind of like if you did this with your palm, you could feel both equal. Or if you turn the palm and you just turn the heel of the palm into that big palm, there you're like, wow, that hurts me more here than it does here because you're making a small surface area hitting a big surface area. You're making a stronger bone hitting the tissue. So if you hit like this, yeah, it can hurt both palms because they're around the equal resistance on it. You take the heel of the palm, small surface area, you accelerate that into the muscle, the meat. You're going to wind up hurting the palm more than you would heal the palm more, um, from the center palm at least. So knowing how to hit, where to hit, and even when to hit makes the difference in putting the energy. The goal is put the energy in the opponent, not let the energy's pressure come back to you. That's why you have to accelerate in the end because you want to create that extra drive to put more accelerated force that would want to drive into your opponent, not force being equal because then it can be split between the two. You actually want to accelerate your movement in the end so you have a greater force, not centrifugal force, greater momentum, greater force to inject in the opponent more than yours, than his coming back to you. And you want to make a small surface area because that way you can drive into him more rather than him coming to you more. Hope that makes sense.
All
It does in
right.
my head.
It made sense to me. And we do have a lot of videos on that. But yeah, so basically, if you learn the principles that we're talking about with Nodak Na, then you're going to find that when you're hitting someone, you're affecting them and not affecting you. The sign that you're feeling it is the sign that you're doing it wrong. I know that sounds crazy, but for any of our members that are on here, when you hit right, you don't feel it, but the other person really does. And it's wild because you feel like you did nothing, but yet you affected your opponent so much. So that is one of the reasons I love what we do here with Enter Shaolin and Nodak Na. We did another question. I don't know if we have time from Helene in. Do you have time real quick to talk about how you would do silk reeling with Tai Chi?
I don't think we have time.
Okay, so I will put that for our next one. And speaking of, we are going to be, and this is just because we need some extra time while we are prepping for what's going to be happening in March with having seafood come here and stuff like that. And it's probably gonna be mid-March, just so you know, like not it won't be like, the first week of, but what we're gonna start doing is having these webinars on the first and third Sunday of the month for a couple of reasons. One, it gives every time us time to use those extra Sundays to focus on working on getting Enter Shaolin prepped and ready. Two, it's also going to give you guys time to review the previous one and really you know, test out what we talked about and really train that information. And this is also for our members too. I'll be talking about that as well on the members one. Same thing. So you guys have time to really perfect and work on your critiques and the things that you asked in here. And also, we're going to be doing something where we'll be having you guys send in questions in advance. We'll still be taking questions in here, but the people that send them in advance are going to be obviously prioritized. Except for here on YouTube, obviously, if someone gives us some super chat love, they're going to get thrown in just like they sent it in early. And we'll take care of them right away and stuff like that, like we always have, because obviously we're grateful for anyone that wants to donate and help us to keep doing what we're doing here at Enter Shaolin and Enter Tai Chi. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we won't be meeting as many times, but it's for a good reason. Also, when we do launch Enter Shaolin 2.0 in March. Another thing that's going to be going on is Sifu, Larry, and I are going to be doing some stuff in the VIP section for our VIP members. So I'll be talking about more about that in this upcoming webinar. But other than that, family, thank you guys so much for spending your time with us and coming and asking questions. We really appreciate y'all and just coming out and spend time with us. If you're not connected with us here on YouTube already, please do strike that like, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure that you tap the bell notification as well. So that way, because I will be posting more in the community. So anytime we're putting up new videos, I'll also be putting up reminders about when the next one is. So so you guys can mark it on your calendar right now. The third Sunday of the month is on the 15th. So and actually, funny enough, in March it's going to fall on the 1st and the 15th too. So if you want to mark all those dates in, that's when we'll be going live for our Q&As for the next several months at least. And we'll keep you posted as that goes on. So again, thank you all for joining us. God bless. Peace, members. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye, everyone else.